Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video may contain explicit descriptions of drug use, violence, and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised as this content may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hello and welcome to this video. We are going to continue our dive into the Kingdom of Fear by one Dr. Hunter S. Thompson, and right now we're discussing his bid for sheriff of, I forget the county name, but the city is Woody Creek, Colorado. So this is interesting. Like I said in the last video, there are so many parallels between this election, or at least for the Texas senatorial, one of the senatorial candidates, and this election. I think Cruz will win it. Raphael Ted Cruz, Ted as his owners call him. I think he's going to win. I don't think Allred is going to be able to beat him, because this is Texas, and if you have an R by your name, you're golden. The thing is I think between Beto O'Rourke in the last election and Allred this election, he's going to get primaried 6 years from now. I have a feeling that how that's going to play out, and it's all because of this election we've been covering these last few videos that Thompson's freak power did that. So, without further ado, let's jump into the book.
The first serialization of his book, Out of Their League, was on the newsstands in Look that week, and he had just come back from a New York gig on the Dick Cavett show. But Look was a bit too cerebral for the kind of people who voted against us in Aspen. To them, Dave Megacy was just another one of those dirty communist outsiders that...
Yeah, that's the thing about conservative, or at least the conservative hierarchy. They want to label anything that they don't understand, anything that disrupts their inability to change and cope. Or I shouldn't say that. They don't have the ability to change and cope. Anything that disturbs the status quo, they want to label as Marxist, communist, leftist, and they have no idea what those words mean. Hell, most of them don't even understand that America is a republic, and all that means is we're not a monarchy. Anything that is not a monarchy is a republic, regardless if it's a democracy, a dictatorship, a theological state, or whatever, as long as it's not a monarchy. If you don't have kings and queens, you're a republic. If you have kings and queens, you're a monarchy. That's what the word means. Basic fucking high school civics classes teach that. And most people in America are too stupid to understand that.
Thompson was importing to take over the town. It's hard to communicate when they don't speak your language. So Megacy reverted to type and signed on as a bodyguard, along with Teddy Ewer, the wild young biker from Madison, Paul Davidson, the black belt White Panther from Denver.
Yeah, one of these days, every time I read this or go through this book, I come across that term White Panthers, and I've always wanted to research them. I might have to sit down and research them and do a thing on the Gen X playlist, just because it's one of those things that's kind of intriguing.
And Gene Johnson, a super wiggy ex-painting contractor from Newport Beach. All communists, of course. Every one of them on salary from Peking.
Of course.
These treacherous perverts, and others, were among those who gathered in Oscar's room that night to ponder the wreckage of America's first freak power campaign.
See, that's another thing about the conservative hierarchy. The everyday person on the street, their mindset is so different from what the hierarchy puts out in like press conferences and stuff like that. They want to refer to things as perverted, twisted, Hannibal Lecter for whatever reason. I think it's because of all these years, 50 years, 51 years, 52 years, half century basically, of preying and manipulating the uneducated, that they've fallen into this routine and they don't realize that they're driving away independent voters, kind of voters like me, independents. People that are still capable of thinking for themselves, that don't think in terms of party, but think in terms of country. But that's just my thoughts.
There was certainly no shortage of reasons to explain our defeat. A few were so brutally obvious that there's not much point in listing them except for the record, which is crucial because the record will also show that, despite these apparently suicidal handicaps, we actually carried the city of Aspen and pulled roughly 44% of the vote in the entire county.
See, that... I just wonder if he would have, instead of running for sheriff, if he would have ran for, like, mayor of Owl Creek, what would have happened? Just wondering.
This was the real shocker. Not that we lost, but that we came so close to winning.
That is what scared the shit out of the establishment, both Democrats and Republicans.
The record will also show that we learned our political lessons pretty well after coming to grips with the reasons for Joe Edwards' 6-vote loss in 1969.
The thing is a 6-vote loss. 6. I mean, that's that many. Wow. In this day and age, people will be recounting shit for millennia afterward.
Our mistake, of course, which was actually my mistake, was in publishing what we learned in a national magazine that hit the newsstands just in time to become a millstone around our necks in 1970. The local appearance of the October 1st, 1970 issue of Rolling Stone was a disaster of the first magnitude.
Interesting. Because Rolling Stone is such an icon in this day and age, but back then it just shows that political turmoil, political fighting, great big bursts of violence before a step forward in our evolution it's just something that happens. America was born out of blood. It will probably die in blood. So, it is something to think about.
For several reasons. 1, because it scared the mortal shit out of our opposition. 2, because it got here just a week or so too late to be effective in our crucial freak registration campaign. And 3, because it outlined our campaign strategy in such fine detail that the enemy was able to use it against us with hellish effectiveness.
That is the reason why politicians on the campaign trail are vague as hell. That's the reason why the Watergate thing was such a big deal, is because when you have the detailed plans of your opponent, you know how to beat them. You can figure out the weaknesses in it.
All the way to the end. Among other damaging revelations, The article went into great detail to show that we couldn't possibly win in 1970 unless the Democrats and the Republicans effectively split the establishment vote, as they had a year earlier. Here is a word-for-word excerpt from The Battle of Aspen.
Yeah, and before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and call this video good here. Then we'll come back in the next video and pick up and head out. So, until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.